Underlying love, beneath the surface it lies, in the whispers of secrets and unspoken ties, caught between the heart's gentle tug and the dance of romance, in the arms of love.
You are listening to Bradley Barkhurst's Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery. Chapter 8, Part 2, Rumble at the Game. The next morning dawned bright and clear for a beautiful fall Friday. Elizabeth awoke feeling well rested for the first time in weeks. She brewed some coffee and ate a bowl of Kellogg's Pep cereal. Stepping outside, she was greeted by the sight of Betty in her nightgown, waving excitedly.
Good morning. Hey, don't forget the football game tonight. Worthington Cardinals versus the Groveport Cruisers. The Cards haven't won a game all season. We should go cheer them on.
Elizabeth hesitated.
Oh, I was thinking I'd just relax at home tonight.
But Betty waved her hands impatiently.
Nonsense. It'll be good for you to get out and socialize. Come on now, what do you say?
Looking at her neighbor's eager face, Elizabeth relented with a chuckle.
All right, Betty, you win. I could use a fun outing, but I can't stay too late. I have the Fall Harvest Festival preparations tomorrow.
Atta girl,
Betty cheered.
We'll have a grand time. Nothing like a game night in the village.
She hurried back inside to get ready. Elizabeth had to admit she was looking forward to the normalcy of the evening. The familiar chants and cheers would help overpower the echoes of fear and tragedy that had pervaded Worthington as of late. That night, bundled against the autumn chill, Elizabeth and Betty strolled over to Worthington High amongst other chatting neighbors. The crisp air rang out with school spirit. For a few hours at least, the pall would lift. The shared school spirit was contagious. Arriving at the field, they purchased hot chocolates from the concession stand and joined in cheering raucously for the Cardinals with the rest of the crowd. Cheerleaders on the sidelines hollered encouragement as the teams charged out. Elizabeth felt swept up in the boisterous atmosphere. During exciting plays, Betty whooped and hollered right alongside the teenage fans. Before they knew it, Worthington was up 14-7. One family loudly rang out a dinner bell that echoed downfield amongst the excitement. Laughing and clapping along to the cheers, Elizabeth was enjoying the game. The Worthington High cheerleaders energetically rallied the crowd all game long. They performed backflips and pyramids, never letting the energy lag. Whenever the Cardinals scored or got a first down, the cheerleaders would erupt in choreographed dances, pom-poms waving as they jumped and kicked in unison. Their infectious enthusiasm had the packed bleachers on their feet, chanting, "Go Cards, go." The cheer captain winked and blew kisses to the crowd. Near the goalpost, the Cardinals' cardinal mascot was playfully mocking the lumbering cruiser horse mascot. When the Cruisers failed to score on fourth down, the Cardinal gleefully did laps around the dejected horse, much to the crowd's amusement. The Worthington High School marching band also put on spirited performances before and during the game. They paraded near the field, blaring out the fight song on trumpets and pounding the drums. During tense moments in the game, the band would strike up rousing tunes to rally the team and crowd. Their thundering beats and soaring melodies electrified the atmosphere. At halftime, the band began to march onto the field for their performance. As the band started playing, Elizabeth and Betty decided to stretch their legs and get more hot chocolate. As they waited in the concession line, a familiar voice called out.
Elizabeth.
She turned to see Samuel waving and walking over with his uncle.
Fancy running into you ladies here.
Samuel said with a grin.
Betty, this is my Uncle Howard.
He introduced the white-haired man.
He was my ride over for the game. Uncle Howard, you've already met the amazing Elizabeth Russo, and this is her neighbor Betty.
A pleasure to meet you, Betty, and it's great to see you again, amazing Elizabeth,
replied Howard, smiling politely while shaking their hands.
Any friends of Samuel's are friends of mine.
So, are you ladies enjoying the game?
Samuel asked. Betty nodded eagerly.
Oh, yes, we're having a marvelous time. It's been too long since I've been to a good football match.
Well, we're glad to see Worthington giving those dreadful cruisers a walloping. It's about time we start winning a game.
Howard chuckled.
Makes me feel years younger. I'd best get back to my seat, but wonderful to meet you ladies.
He tipped his hat and headed off. Samuel smiled warmly at Elizabeth, his brown eyes twinkling.
I'm really glad you came tonight. This is just what we all needed.
Elizabeth agreed, warmed by the friendly chance encounter. As Elizabeth chatted with Samuel, an irate voice suddenly interrupted.
What are you doing with him?
She turned to see a fuming George marching towards them, eyes blazing. The smell of alcohol wafted off of him.
I warned you to stay away from this rascal.
George shouted, getting right in Samuel's face. Before anyone could react, George pulled back and took a wild swing at Samuel. As George's fist flew, the Worthington marching band started to play Night on Bald Mountain, which was recently popularized in the Fantasia movie. Elizabeth and Betty cried out, but Samuel managed to dodge the blow.
Whoa there, fella, calm down.
Samuel said evenly, hands raised.
No need for trouble here.
But George was nearly apoplectic.
Don't tell me to calm down.
The brass on the football field built up the tension in the song as they kept marching the field. George took another sloppy swing that Samuel evaded.
I'll teach you to mess with my girl.
People were starting to stare at the confrontation. One high schooler yelled,
"Give him the old brass in the arms knuckle sandwich."
Betty tried intervening, but George shoved her back. As George took another drunken swing, this time his fist connected with Samuel's face, striking him in the cheek. Samuel staggered back, clutching his face as Uncle Howard looked on in shock. Before anyone could react, Samuel scowled and clenched his fist, swinging back and landing a solid punch to George's face.
Why, you little...
George snarled as the sound of the brass horns swelled. He tackled Samuel to the ground, and the two men began brawling fiercely right there on the sidelines. Fists flew, and grunts rang out as they wrestled and exchanged blows. Danny came running in with his camera in hand and started taking snapshots. Elizabeth and Betty shrieked for them to stop, but the men were lost in a drunken rage. The crowd backed away as the fight rolled into the ground. George managed to pin Samuel down and got in a few more hits before Samuel kneed him in the stomach. The band had now stopped to see what all the commotion was about. Wheezing, George loosened his grip, allowing Samuel to flip him over. Now Samuel was on top, ready to punch George's face. Just then, police officers came charging over to break it up. They pulled the bloodied men apart and dragged them off each other. They took hold of George's arms.
Okay, pal, I think you've had enough fun for tonight.
Officer Jameson said sternly.
Let's go sleep it off.
George cursed and struggled, but they dragged him off towards the exit. Elizabeth stood shaking, horrified at his actions. Samuel scuffed up with a bloody nose, put a comforting hand on her shoulder.
I'm so sorry about that.
Elizabeth said softly.
We'd best get home before any more trouble arises.
As the police escorted George away, Samuel's Uncle Howard hurried towards them, looking baffled.
What in blazes was that all about?
He exclaimed. Samuel wiped the trickle of blood from his busted lip and shrugged.
Oh, just a minor disagreement between gentlemen.
He joked weakly. But Elizabeth was too upset to find any humor in it.
That was appalling behavior from both of you.
She scolded. Samuel at least had the decency to look ashamed under her glare.
You're right, I'm sorry.
He said sincerely.
George just has a way of bringing out the worst in me, but I shouldn't have taken his bait.
Howard put a hand on his shoulder.
Come on now, let's get you cleaned up at home. Miss Russo is displeased by your roughness.
As Samuel stood with his uncle, Elizabeth just shook her head in disappointment. She expected better from him than such brute violence, no matter the provocation. Betty linked her arms supportively.
Men! Brawn over brains every time if you ask me.
She clucked disapprovingly.
Don't fret, dear. This too shall pass.
As Samuel turned to leave with Howard, his uncle suddenly stopped and faced the ladies again.
Ladies, it's just a few weeks, but we'd be delighted if you two joined us for Thanksgiving dinner.
Howard proposed warmly.
The more the merrier.
Elizabeth opened her mouth to decline, still miffed at Samuel, but Betty jumped in enthusiastically.
We'd be honored, wouldn't we, Elizabeth?
She gave Elizabeth a pointed look. Recalling her mother was away in Cincinnati, Elizabeth reluctantly agreed.
All right, dinner would be lovely, thank you.
Excellent.
Howard beamed.
We're happy to welcome friends at our table. I'll leave you two to make amends.
He added with a wink at Samuel. With their Thanksgiving plans unexpectedly set, Elizabeth and Betty said goodnight. Samuel gave her a conciliatory smile and wave as he departed with his uncle. Betty took Elizabeth's arm cheerfully.
There now, doesn't a holiday feast sound nice?
Elizabeth just sighed, hoping the dinner would not add further fuel to existing tensions. But Betty's gift of forcing cheer into gloom was hard to resist. Between the cheerleaders' boundless pep, the dueling mascots' antics, and Samuel and George's fistfight, Worthington High displayed a bold team spirit against their rival. Elizabeth, though, had felt she had too much excitement for the night and decided it was time to leave the football game early. After the halftime fiasco, Betty and Elizabeth walked back to their houses respectfully under the watchful glow of the harvest moonlight.
Thank you for listening to Bradley Barkhurst's Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery. Will Samuel be able to mend his friendship with Elizabeth and regain her trust after the altercation? Will Elizabeth and Betty uncover any new clues or developments related to the ongoing threats in Worthington during the Fall Harvest Festival preparations? And will Betty find her missing Jell-O recipe? Be sure to tune in for more. In Chapter 9, Part 1, The Fall Harvest Festival. Please like and subscribe to this channel and purchase the novel, Underlying Love, a Worthington, Ohio mystery.